What's going on, guys? I'm Zach from the Lumios Post, where we talk about all things Pokemon, and today we will be talking about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and just my thoughts on the games. I beat the game at the time of recording. It was last night. It's currently Monday for me. This will be going up on Tuesday, so 2 nights ago for those of you seeing this, and it was really, really fun. Love these games, but I'm going to get into each individual thing, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. Don't worry, though, this is going to be spoiler-free. I'm not going to reveal that Han Solo died in this game. I'm just going to go into kind of just my thoughts on each thing. And we are going to begin with the story. But again, no worries, no story spoilers here. And please do remember to, in the comments below, mark your story spoilers as story spoilers. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on the game, but make sure you be mindful of those who haven't played it yet. Okay, so the story has 3 parts. This was something that they have been marketing for a while. There is the Path of Legends storyline, the Victory Road storyline, and the Starfall Street storyline. And let me tell you, all 3 were so fun. I'm so glad that they gave us essentially 18 gems throughout these. There's 5 Starfall Street, 5 Path of Legends, and then the 8 gems in Victory Road. So a total of 18, each one specializing in a different type. And I loved that. I thought that was so cool, and I love that they did it in a way that made you not get bored, because Starfall Street is so different from Path of Legends, which is so different from Gems, which is so different from Path of Legends or Starfall Street. You know, it's just super diverse, but still giving us what we wanted. It was so expansive, just how many things you could do. It was a lot of fun. Absolutely loved that. Now, Gems, of course, are your more standard battles, which I thought was a lot of fun that they included that, because I love the gems in Pokemon games. I remember being heartbroken when I found out that Alola would not have gems, and it's why Alola's kind of a little bit lower for me in terms of my favorite games. But these games had the gems while also introducing new things. And speaking of Alola, that's kind of where we go to Path of Legends, because this was very similar to the Totem Trials from Alola, or Island Trials, which kind of took the place of gems that generation. You have to fight these boss Pokemon, and it was a lot of fun. I would have not enjoyed the game if it was just these, because also they weren't as difficult as I thought they would be personally. I was under-leveled for a lot of it because I was rotating a team of 12, but I still found the Path of Legends to be pretty dang easy. I didn't really struggle with any of those, but the gems, I did feel there were many that gave me a run for my money. I thought that the electric gem was pretty tough, at least for my team. I thought that the normal gem was pretty tough for my team, and the psychic gem also gave me some trouble as well. As for Path of Legends, though, like I said, super easy, but still very enjoyable, and the little story there with Arven is a lot of fun and very sweet. You kind of don't really get into the meat of like the legendary story until after all 3 of these paths are complete, so it was nice that they kind of gave us some form of story in the Arven stuff in Path of Legends. Starfall Street was way more fun than I thought it'd be. When I saw all these automatic battles, I kind of was just like, alright, you know, who needs this? But no, it was a lot of fun, like genuinely a ton of fun. I loved doing that. They were also surprisingly really hard for me, at least. I thought that the Revavrooms, the Starmobiles that the different base leaders used were actually quite challenging. I know my wife also was playing the game with me, and she struggled with these as well. They were honestly, I think, the boss battles of Starfall Street were, at least as a whole, harder than the gems or the Path of Legends. So that was very surprising. Obviously, the little base minigame to get to the boss is pretty easy. You have to not be, you know, very high leveled. Like, you have to be really under leveled to not be able to do the like little automatic battles to get to the end. But the boss battles I do think were tough, and that's good. I want a game to be challenging. Make me rematch gym leaders and stuff. One thing you should know about me is for gym leaders, I like to bring however many Pokemon they're using. So if a gym leader's using 3 Pokemon and I have a team of 6, I pick 3 and I go in just very similar how the anime does it. It makes it simpler for me. Beauty of these games, you get to kind of play however you want to play. That's how I choose to play. So the story all culminates with all those three, and then, like I said, you get into kind of the legendary side of the story. And my wife and I, when we were like around the last gym and last Starfall Street and last Titan, we're kind of going, okay, we really want to get to the story now. And we found ourselves kind of like, it sucks that they didn't do any of like the legendary story, or not much of it, in the base game, like not base game, but in the initial run of all these things. But when we got to the actual story of these games, it was well worth it. We both agreed it was well worth it. I teared up. She teared up. So I did not have like the tears come out of my eyes, but they did water. It was really beautiful. Love this story. This is definitely the best story by far in a Pokemon game. When it was done, my wife was just exclaiming over and over again, I don't know how they can top this in DLC or Gen 10. And I have to agree with her there. It's pretty crazy what all they did, and I absolutely loved it. So there's the story. Let's move on to the Pokemon. So the Pokemon in this game, I feel like I've been comparing it to Generation 5 for a while now, where it is like there's going to be a lot of designs that people are going to see and go, oh, that is one of the worst designs I have ever seen in my entire life. But in a few years, we'll be saying that these are amazing designs, just like we did with Unova. People were so fed up with Trubbish and Vanillite that they didn't think about how cool it was to have Crocodile or Haxorus. And I think that's a similar thing that's going to happen with this gym, because the designs are very different for the Pokemon franchise. It's some really weird ones. And I will say, my least favorite Pokemon of all time is from this gym, and that's Goldengo. I hate this thing. But there are plenty of designs that I absolutely adored. I mean, Titan is just incredible. I mean, I love this guy. Kilowattrel is up there already with one of my favorite regional birds. I absolutely loved Kilowattrel. I loved the starter evolutions. I wasn't crazy about Meowscarada when it first leaked, but I will say as time went on, I was like, you know what, actually Meowscarada is insanely cool. And when we saw like the official art that came out in a magazine, it looked really cool. So I actually love all three of these starters. I know that they're also very different, I think, again, like the Gen 5 starters were, but I think they're very good as well. I know a lot of people were hating on the Gen 5 starters, and now people like Samurott, people like Superior, and there are people that like Emboar, but I think these are going to go through a similar thing. I absolutely love these. Skeledirge is the best one in my opinion, but I do genuinely love Quaquaval, and I do genuinely love Meowscarada. Now, moving into kind of just the gameplay. So, if you've been on Twitter, or you've been on YouTube, or even if you've maybe talked to someone who's played this game, you've heard that this game is a little buggy. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This game is very buggy. I will say, it did not impact my personal experience with the game. Let me correct myself there. It did, but the glitches in the game, I should say, didn't. Like where the frame rates drop, or, a character maybe walks through a wall or something. Those things did not bother me. I play through the game with my wife. Like, we'll both be sitting there with our Switches playing it, and we had good laughs over it and everything, so it was fine. It really was. Now, if it isn't fine for you, that's totally okay, and your opinion's valid. But, I enjoyed it, and my opinion's valid too. Now, I do think that one thing they need to work on is the game crashing. We were sitting there, Sarah was battling the Water-type gym leader, and she's on his final Pokemon, and then an error pops up. And it says that the software, something about the software, and it basically makes her hit OK, and it's exited out. Thankfully, she saved right before the gym, so, she was just able to retake on the gym. But we were a little bit like, was that the game or was that a fluke thing? Because That does happen. Sometimes there's fluke things, like the cartridge accidentally, like, kind of pops out or something. All kinds of things can happen. So we moved on. Then it happened to me. I was so caught up in the game, I hadn't saved for, like, a gym, a titan, and pretty big grinding. So that was a little bit upsetting for sure. And that did impact my experience. You know, it did kind of suck that it was like, great, all that time, I mean, probably like an hour and a half that I hadn't saved. And sure, my fault for not saving, but also it's also a company's fault that their game crashes before, you know, like at any point. I mean, I can pick up Sword and Shield and play it for 5 hours and it doesn't crash on me. I know because I have done that and it's never crashed on me. So that definitely is a problem, and I do hope that the Pokemon Company patches that at least. But also, I do think that it would be very, very good of them if they could patch up those frame rates and errors where, like, Pokemon will be in the ground so you can't engage them and all kinds of things like that. They do absolutely need to fix those issues, in my opinion. Again, did not hinder my experience, but again, they are something that we're not seeing on many other Switch games, so it is something that needs to be removed, and I do hope that the quality of the next Switch game is maybe a little bit better in the base game than Scarlet and Violet are. Again, I really hope no one thinks that I'm sitting here trying to whine about the graphics, because that's not the case at all. I still love these games, and to be real with you, these are still my favorite Pokemon games I've ever played. I mean, seriously, I love this franchise. I have played, like, every single Pokemon game except for maybe a few versions. Like, I played Pokemon Fire Red, never Leaf Green. But I adore this franchise, and this game was just I mean, it almost felt like a finale, you know? Like, it almost felt like this is the last Pokemon game. Obviously, it isn't, but that's just how spectacular it was, I guess, how ultimate it felt. And on that note, to get away from the glitches but stick with gameplay, this game, I mean, it blows my mind. I mean, it was really, really fun. The areas that you can explore are, I mean, they're so vast. Every time I go to an area, I find, like, a little section of that area that I'm like, oh, never been here before. I did manage to find a shiny Pokemon. It was a Meryl. I did also worry that I was passing several shiny Pokemon, and still think to this day, like, you know, or this moment, that how many shiny Pokemon did I pass today and not know it. So, and that's kind of a fun feeling, you know, just having all the Pokemon out there in the wild, and you can just see a shiny, or even aside from that, you can see these Pokemon just interacting with their environments. Like, when I was in the kind of mining area, I'm just running to the little mining towns at Papico, and a Varoom just kind of goes right by me, and there's another Varoom following it. They just go up the hill. So, like, they were just interacting with each other. I know Sarah mentioned to me that she saw a Donphan at the top of a hill just roll down it. And, I mean, things like that were so much fun. I mean, I loved it. The Pokemon had so much life in Legends Arceus, but this game did take them to another level, and I really love it. And again, to attest to how big this region is, there's this new set of sub-legendaries called the Ruinous Quartet, and I have yet to find one of their seals. I have scanned all over where I think it may be, and I've yet to find it. I know you can, like, get it where you can see it on the map by doing stuff at the school, but that's not my cup of tea. I want to find it myself, and I can't find it. But I love that at the same time, you know. It feels like you have to work to get these legends again, which is kind of a classic staple of Pokemon. It's no longer just walk into a cave and there's the legend, chuck a Pokeball at it, you're guaranteed to catch it. No, it's like work your tail off to find these legends just where they are, and then you have to find 8 stakes to open that one legend. Then you'll have to find 8 more for the other, then 8 more for the... I mean, it's what I've wanted to see Pokemon do for a while, because it's how it used to be. So it really did feel like a love letter to old fans, while also a nice little, I guess, gate for new fans who maybe are more interested in other types of games and not really turn-based battle games. This game kind of just has a nice little transitioning those kind of people into like their style of turn-based battles, because there's so much more other than turn-based battles, and it's just, like I said, it was a lot of fun. Overall, I would give this game a solid 9 out of 10. It would be a 10 of a 10 if it wasn't for those graphical issues. Specifically, if it wasn't for that bug that made my game crash. It's happened to me twice total. One time wasn't as bad as the other, but yeah, they do need to fix that. Be sure to let me know in the comments below your thoughts on these games. Be sure to let me know if you found a shiny Pokemon yet. Seriously, let me know which one in the comments below. Let me know if it was full odds. My Meryl was full odds. My wife found a shiny Dratini full odds. And a shiny Dugtrio full odds, but she killed it. Let me know your shiny stories, as well as, again, your review of the game. Remember, let's be kind about story spoilers and mark those. Be sure to also like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you do not miss all of our future Pokemon Scarlet and Violet videos. Guys, we've got some cool stuff coming. I'm very excited. You don't want to miss it, so subscribe and hit the bell. Until next time, I will see all of you later.